A story begins. We see a train arrives at the station, and two individuals step off. The first is Ashaf, a first-class magician, calm, quiet, and reserved, yet he among the strongest sorcerers alive. The second is Guido, a wild, mysterious, and seemingly unhinged girl hiding a massive secret no one knows. They are on a mission to locate a witch. They arrive at a man's shop and ask him about her. By coincidence, a young girl standing nearby overhears them. She turns out to be the witch's apprentice and asks why they're searching for her master. Before anyone can answer, boom, the building explodes. A powerful monster appears in the city, spreading chaos and destruction everywhere. Guido immediately rushes toward it. The creature seeks nothing but ruin. The police attempt to stop it, but it's completely useless. Ashaf warns her that the monster is far too strong, but Guido responds that they were never given a chance to properly investigate the witch. Suddenly, the apprentice appears again and tells them this monster is not who they are looking for. Within seconds, the witch herself appears. She activates her power. Dark markings spread across her body as she gathers a massive sphere of energy in her hands, and in a single blast, she annihilates the monster in seconds. The police arrest the magician who had transformed into the beast, and the citizens begin chanting the witch's name. Unlike usual, the people of this city treat her as a hero. Ashaf warns Guido that they must deal with this witch carefully, no recklessness. But when he turns around, Guido is already gone. The insane girl launches a surprise attack on the witch right in front of everyone. Unfortunately, the witch easily counters her, restrains her, and the police move in to arrest Guido. Suddenly, a mysterious group interferes, pushing the police back. Ashaf appears, scolding Guido for always dragging them into trouble. The citizens grow angry, forcing Ashaf to retreat. Before leaving, he tells the witch they will meet again. What's strange, my friend, is that this city didn't always love witches. 400 years ago, a witch cast a curse on the city, turning it into a literal piece of hell. Eventually, she was defeated, the curse was sealed, and her evil was supposedly erased. Ashaf and Guido arrive at the palace where the curse was sealed, the same place the witch now resides. Ashaf feels something is deeply wrong. They notice a group of young girls invited by the witch to celebrate an anniversary. None of them know what the celebration is actually for. The apprentice comes out to greet them and is shocked to see Ashaf and Guido. She tells them they are forbidden from interfering with the witch in any way. Ashaf questions her blind loyalty, but the girl explains that her master sacrificed everything to change how the city views witches after what happened 400 years ago. When Ashaf asks about the celebration, she refuses to answer, saying only her master knows. He warns her not to believe everything she hears. Enraged, she storms inside and slams the door. Guido insists there's no choice but to break in by force, but Ashaf says he must confirm something first. They decide to return to the hotel. Back at the palace, the witch stands among flowers with the girls. The apprentice tells her what happened. Calmly, the witch assures her she'll handle everything. Meanwhile, Ashaf connects the dots. He realizes the true purpose of the celebration. He tells Guido they must act immediately. They leave the hotel, only to find the police waiting to arrest them on the witch's orders. Ashaf releases a swarm of magical crows, allowing them to escape briefly, but the entire city's police force surrounds them. The witch now has absolute control over the city and its authority. Inside the palace, the apprentice wakes up, drugged. The horrifying truth is revealed. All the girls invited to the celebration have had their limbs severed. The apprentice collapses in shock. The witch arrives and tells her not to worry. Their bodies are merely keys. During training, she implanted a spell inside them without their knowledge. She activates the spell on one girl and declares her plan to awaken the hellfire that appeared 400 years ago. She reveals the truth. The witch killed centuries ago was her grandmother. That woman sealed hellfire and saved the city, but the people blamed her and executed her anyway. She asks one simple question: if you were in my place, would you forgive them? The apprentice begs her to stop, saying those who committed the injustice died centuries ago. But the witch has waited 120 years for this exact day. The seal weakens, the first lock breaks, monsters erupt throughout the city, slaughtering countless civilians. Hell is reborn, and the witch swears it will not end until the city is completely destroyed. Guido attacks her, but is effortlessly restrained and sealed inside a wooden tree. Guido breaks free and attacks again, only to be blasted away by an overwhelming beam of energy. This witch is terrifyingly powerful. She notices Ashaf trying to free the girls and attacks him, creating a barrier to block his access and continue her plan. Approaching him, she says he clearly understands what she's doing. She doesn't care who he is. All that matters is making the city suffer. Her apprentice weeps, begging her to stop, saying the people trusted her. She trusted her. But the witch activates the second key, or rather, by sacrificing the life of another girl, she says to her with eyes full of pure evil that she did all of this just to see them suffer the same way her grandmother suffered. And the girl screams, asking how someone can carry all this evil inside her. Ashaf tries to stop her, but she attacks him with her overwhelming magic. And at that moment, Guido appears, her body covered in wounds and injuries. Yet none of that stops her as she tells the witch that she understands her feelings, that she hates witches too and wants revenge on them just like the witch wants revenge on humans. The witch is shocked that Guido is still alive after the attack she took, but Guido gives her no time and asks her if she has seen her before, then reveals her neck, showing a strange mark, and the moment the witch sees it, she understands Guido's true goal, because Guido was cursed by a witch whose face she does not know, and she has been searching for her to break the curse, knowing that the only way to lift it is by killing the witch who cast it. The witch tells her she does not know who cursed her, and that it was definitely not her, but says she wishes, then throws a magical attack that turns the entire place into flames. At that moment, Ashaf speaks and tells her that she made only one mistake, that there is only one way to cancel the curse, and instantly Guido launches herself toward the witch, who tries to stop her by raising massive spikes from the ground, but thinking that would stop Guido was a huge mistake. Guido breaks through, closes the distance, and casts a special spell to cancel the curse, which requires direct physical contact with the witch during the spell. And at that moment, something strange bursts out of Guido's body and shoots toward a coffin that Ashaf had noticed earlier. The coffin opens and a terrifying creature emerges, and from the very first glance you can tell how powerful it is. Its presence brings nothing but doom, because Guido's curse was actually sealing her inside this weak human body. The witch attacks with thousands of metallic projectiles, but they do nothing. Then she attacks again with a massive wind tornado, thinking she has won. But the shock comes when Guido walks out of the storm as if nothing happened. The witch launches another attack that turns the place into pure hell, and from the smoke an arm emerges, declaring the end of this witch, as Guido delivers a legendary punch filled with all her hatred for witches, sending the witch flying far away and ending everything. But the strange thing is that Guido collapses to the ground and returns to her human body again, because what she used was only a temporary release of the curse to save the situation, and her journey to find the witch who cursed her is still long. And now, my friend, let me explain the story of Ashaf and Guido. Ashaf is a member of an organization called the Order of Magical Resonance, specialized in solving all magic-related problems, while Guido joined this organization in exchange for their help in breaking her curse by assisting them in dangerous missions. Guido is a mysterious being whose true nature is still unknown, and the power we just saw is barely 1% of her real strength. So my dear friend, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, because at 300,000 there will be a huge surprise. And now let us continue to uncover all these secrets. After that, we see the two of them walking together at night. The boy offers to walk her home since it is late, but she refuses and says she will be fine. They say goodbye and she walks away, but suddenly she stops and feels something strange. Within seconds, a hand covers her mouth and she starts bleeding from everywhere, and the old woman appears, and it looks like we are heading into a new adventure. Then we return to Ashaf and Guido as their days go on normally, while completing regular missions like the current one, which involves controlling a magical beast secretly raised by someone in power because the law forbids raising such creatures. Guido notices that the mission has nothing to do with witches and refuses to help, leaving Ashaf to handle it alone. He confronts the beast that was literally playing with the guards like toys, uses magic by placing his hand in water and creating a bubble over the beast's head to block oxygen, knocking it out and completing the mission. Days pass with only trivial missions coming in. Ashaf is comfortable with this routine, while Guido is completely fed up and impatiently waiting for the appearance of a witch. While they sit in a restaurant, a waiter brings them a letter from the Order of Magical Resonance. Guido gets excited, but the mission turns out to be opening a magical box belonging to that old woman, until one day another letter arrives, this time black, meaning a dangerous mission related to witches. Ashaf tells her they must move immediately because there is no time. And then we see a building completely burned down, the police unable to act while two children are trapped inside, and their mother stands helpless as they stop her from entering, until the building collapses, killing the two children and everyone else inside. And all of this turns out to be a nightmare of this woman, who is a police investigator and also a magic user. She was heading to a crime scene related to a witch, the same witch we saw earlier, who was also responsible for burning the building with everyone inside. She asks about the number of victims, which is around 5, all killed the same way through ritual sacrifice. She walks through the destruction left behind as the witch escapes without a trace. A fellow officer tells her he knows the deaths affected her deeply, but that it was not her fault. She responds calmly that she will do her job perfectly and leaves, and on her way she hears someone speaking, saying they might be late, and it turns out to be Ashaf and Guido discussing the case of the investigator and the children. She asks who they are and how they know all this while secretly preparing a spell behind her back. Ashaf tells her to calm down and stop what she is doing with her hand, explaining that they are from the Order of Magical Resonance sent by the governor to help capture the witch. They enter a restaurant together, order food, and the investigator sets up a soundproof barrier. Ashaf asks her for information about the case, and she tells him that just because he came on the governor's request does not mean she trusts him. He replies that if she refuses to work with them, she will have to deal with the knights, who are far worse, questioning why the governor is delaying their involvement when the city police have no weapons to fight witches. Guessing the governor wants the credit for solving the case alone, Guido angrily interrupts and demands to know everything about the witch. The investigator asks why she is so obsessed with the witch, and before Guido answers, Ashaf lies. But the investigator says she can detect lies as long as the barrier exists, forcing him to tell her everything from the curse to now, and admitting they are searching randomly for witches with no leads. Guido declares that she does not just want to break the curse first but wants to kill the witch and take brutal revenge, the investigator remembers her own tragedy and decides to help them, then admits she cannot actually detect lies and only tricked them for information. Agreeing to start cooperating from tomorrow, she leaves, and at the same time the witch claims another victim using the same method. Early in the morning, the team gathers in the investigator Kira's car. She explains they suspect the witch is behind all the murders due to the massive magical power used, and because she leaves quotes from specific books, she takes them to a library and tells them the witch took the quotes from a book the library had requested a copy of recently. Guido suddenly smells something rotten and kicks the door open, revealing the library owner as a decaying corpse. At the same moment, police call reporting another body, proving the witch never wastes time. Night falls and Kira drives them, but Guido senses something strange and warns Ashraf someone is coming. Within seconds, purple fog fills the area. Guido rushes into it to attack, but the building collapses. The witch appears and attacks Guido from behind, then turns into fog and vanishes. Ashraf checks on Guido, who tells him the witch has been stalking Kira since the first day. They immediately go to confront her, and when she sees them, she understands they encountered the witch. Ashraf asks if she has any personal connection to her. She denies it, but Ashraf points out that the witch knows her face and attacked right after meeting her. He admits that not calling the knights was the governor's mistake and asks why she did not object. And here we learn her true motive: revenge. Because she agreed to exclude the knights since the witch killed investigator Cohn, her lover, after killing her 2 children. And Kira wants revenge with her own hands. As she connects the events, she realizes the witch only kills people close to her, and seeing Ashraf and Guido near Kira made the witch target them. The question now is whether Kira wants revenge or what truly drives the witch. Before they can continue the discussion, Kira's deputy interrupts, shouting that the witch left a new message inside the police headquarters itself. Daring them openly, the message says she will come to the station in 3 days. Guido smiles brightly and says she is eagerly waiting for those 3 days. And when the time comes, the station is on full alert with police everywhere waiting for the cursed witch. Ashraf asks Kira for leather bags without explaining why, tells her not to worry. Kira asks Guido how she plans to kill the witch, and Guido replies that once her curse is lifted, it will be over, shocking Kira, who questions relying on probabilities, but Ashraf assures her they do not depend on conventional methods. Suddenly, the witch arrives, destroying the building as purple smoke covers everything. The police are trapped in the fog as she slaughters them one by one, appearing and disappearing like a mirage. Ashraf checks that everyone is alive while Guido is furious and wants to fight, but Ashraf tells her there is no point unless they trap her first, revealing he already knows her location thanks to his crows spread across the city. As one of his abilities allows him to see through their eyes, they head to an abandoned house on the city's outskirts, enter a room and find something resembling the witch, but when Ashraf turns around, she appears and kills the decoy instantly. Then Guido crashes in through the window as they discover the witch was actually an ordinary man behind everything. Guido attacks but is shocked to find there are 2 of them. They attack her with purple fog and send her flying. Ashraf scolds her for charging alone again. Guido explains everything and reveals there are 2 enemies. The 2 boys step forward and Kira is stunned to realize they are Charlotte and Lauren, her children who supposedly died. She struggles to understand because they never had such power before. Ashraf points out the books in their hands, explaining they are the source of their power. A single book split into 2 volumes that grants witch-like abilities in exchange for sacrifices. They try to justify their actions, saying that after touching the books, they were forced to eat humans or be devoured themselves. And Kira explodes in rage, shouting that even if they had no choice, why did they kill Khan, who treated them like his own children, leaving the truth hanging heavy in the air. At that moment, he loses his temper and tells her that they do not owe her any answers, pulls out the book and is about to attack them. But suddenly, blood pours from his mouth and Ashraf speaks calmly, saying there are 3 reasons why they cannot defeat them. The first is that they did not pay the real sacrifice today, he shouts, asking how when they killed more than 10 people today. But Ashraf grabs one of the officers by the head and pulls out a dummy made of skin and blood, revealing that all the officers they killed today were the same fake bodies. He rages and tries to attack Ashraf, but Guido steps in, intercepts both attacks, slams them down and throws them back to where they came from. Ashraf continues and says the second reason is the presence of Guido, and he believes they do not even need to know the third reason. After they regain consciousness from the fainting, they ask her why she did all this, and they confess that from the first day they were adopted, they did not want anyone to get close to her, and they had to get rid of Khan because he was her lover and was getting closer to her every single day. At that moment, Kira picks up the weapon from the ground and ends their lives without hesitation, taking revenge for all the people who died and for her beloved Khan. The next day, Kira goes to say goodbye to Ashraf and Guido at the train station as they depart on another journey to search for witches. A few days later, Ashraf pulls out the new mission message and tells Guido that it describes a series of dismembered bodies caused by a witch, but this case will be harder than usual because it is happening on the 3rd continent. Unfortunately, their mission is to communicate with the witch, and the Night Legion will definitely stand in their way, meaning they will have to fight them to take the witch. They waste no time and head toward the city of the mission, discovering that the residents there are being evacuated in an attempt to escape this witch. On On the road, a knight from the Legion stops them and tells them that everything beyond that point is forbidden. Ashav laughs and tells him that his grandmother lives alone ahead and he wants to make sure she is fine. The knight decides to let them pass but warns that the coffin they are carrying must not pass. He checks Ashav's data, confirms there is nothing suspicious, and then proceeds to inspect the coffin. But Ashav shows him the church license seal attached to it, so the knight allows Ashav and Guido to pass with the coffin and assigns one of his men to accompany them. And as soon as they move a little farther, Guido attacks him and eliminates him, continuing the journey alone. Meanwhile, the commander of the Night Legion gathers his team and orders them to restrain the witch when they find her and leave eliminating her to him, emphasizing that under no circumstances should they kill her. We learn then that a church envoy has arrived to provide information to the Legion, claiming he knows important details about the witch. Ashav reaches the knight's fortress at the same time, but it is protected by multiple barriers that prevent further progress. And even if they try to break through, the knights would sense them immediately. But thinking this would stop Ashav would be a mistake, because he knows the formation well enough to open a gap without being detected. As he begins the process, he suddenly sees the city collapsing behind the barrier and notices the witch fleeing. Clearly, after clashing with the Legion, the witch draws her swords and attacks the pursuing knights, wiping them out, shocking Matt with her power, while his assistant explains that the witch creates and controls swords and provides details about her appearance and height. But the church envoy interrupts with irrelevant information about her looks and clothes, prompting Matt to demand her lineage instead, since that would reveal her true strength. At that moment, Guido reaches the witch and eliminates the remaining pursuers, then charges at her, but the witch blocks her and tells her to look carefully at her face and asks if she remembers her. Guido replies that she could never forget a face as evil as hers and attacks again. The witch blocks and counters with stones, which Guido breaks. Then the witch attacks with swords and chases Guido as she tries to escape. Suddenly, Guido smashes a door beside her and throws it toward the witch, but the witch slices it into 3 pieces, slashing Guido's face and throwing them back, yet Guido blocks them with her mouth. At that moment, Ashav appears after preparing his compression spell, captures the witch, and traps her inside a small sphere. Guido is shocked by how weak the witch seems and asks if he is sure it is really her. Ashav confirms it, explaining that there are reasons preventing her from using her full power. Otherwise, he would never have allowed her to face Guido directly. Guido asks how he knew, and he tells her he realized it the moment he saw her stigma, the tattoo beneath her eyes. Then we return to the church envoy informing Matt that the witch is a descendant of the courageous witch queen. Her name is Helga, and due to certain circumstances, her lineage is weak in combat abilities. But they still have to be careful, because even though she is considered a weaker witch, she still has the ability to destroy the world. And suddenly, at that moment, Ashav's compression spell shatters and Helga breaks free once again, shocking Ashav as he realizes she is wielding the demon sword, a sword that grants its owner the power to rule the world while bringing destruction to everything at the same time. And Matt also realizes she has the sword and decides to attack her with all his strength, ordering his deputy Formus to stay in the fortress and take command of the pursuit forces while also keeping a close eye on the church envoy. Because he suspects him, the pursuers suddenly attack and cut their conversation short, and Guido is confused by their appearance. So Ashav explains that these are night decoys, and harming them does nothing to the real knights because they will recharge with magical energy from the fortress reserves and return again, allowing the Legion to send an endless number of soldiers that do not die, which is the Legion's strategy for hunting witches. Ashav creates a 2-layer barrier to protect them from Helga's fiery attacks, and Helga tries to block the attacks with her swords but struggles to hold them back. Ashav reaches out his hand to help her, but she thanks him and chooses to rely on herself, leaving him behind and moving away. Ashav then asks Guido to follow her and protect her, and despite Helga's attempts to escape, Matt suddenly appears in front of her and declares that this time he will not let her go. Guido appears as well, and the moment she sees Matt, she mocks him, telling him he came with his own flesh and bones and that he will die if she kills him. Matt immediately attacks her, but Helga blocks his strike with the sword. Guido tries to approach Helga to cancel the curse and free her power, but Ashav stops her and tells her to wait. She gets angry and tells him that this is the leader, and if they take him down, the mission will be over. But Ashav explains that Guido is their trump card and must always be hidden until the rest of the cards are revealed, telling her that her only task right now is to focus on helping Helga escape. Guido agrees and tells Helga that she will help her and that Helga should try to disappear while she keeps him busy. Helga hesitates, not wanting to leave her behind and asking what she will do if she escapes, but Guido tells her to just go, and Helga finally begins to run. And friend, if you enjoy this epic anime and want next episodes, so don't forget to like and subscribe the channel now.